Hello everybody, it's Mark here from Freedom Summits and Truthology, and I'm delighted to introduce you. I'm sure most of you already know if you're Truthology members and been to the Freedom Summits. I'm sure you're very aware of this gentleman next to me here, Michael Tellinger. I've just picked Michael up from Mullumbimby. I know you've been to Australia a few times. How are you enjoying it, mate?
It's my second visit. We were here last year. It's like home from home.
Yeah, fantastic. So, have to say, obviously, it was a riveting conversation on the way here. We've talked about going to the UN and helping the Aborigines and all the sovereign tribes around the world with their plight to be recognised as sovereign tribes. So it's been a wonderful conversation so far. Michael, most people will be aware of the Ubuntu party and all the work that you do, and of course the wonderful talks that you do about harmony and about our voice and resonance and that sort of stuff. I went to your talk last year in Mullumbimby, and what blew me away was when you started talking about how the towns in Egypt and so forth were built out, and the pyramids were built out of silica. There was a lot of silica in the stones, and I think there was probably 300 or 400 people there that when you actually went back and how the towns were designed and the waterways, which are conductors, and then all of a sudden you put a computer chip next to it. And I'm actually getting a tingle down my spine now. It was a huge aha moment. So I think we've been communicating with the universe for a long time, haven't we?
Yeah, we certainly have. What I find is the research into ancient civilizations and the origins of humankind is really the path that brought me to the message and the philosophy of Ubuntu, which is echoed in all ancient civilizations and all ancient cultures. And what I realized at a very specific moment in 2005 is that humanity has lived without money for infinitely longer than we've lived with money. And suddenly the penny drops, say, oh my goodness, money is a tool of enslavement. Money was imposed on humanity as a tool of enslavement at a very specific point and time in human history. And we can almost sort of pinpoint it to a specific time around 6,000, maybe 8,000 years ago, but that's pretty much where it really kicks in. And now that we've had 6,000 years of slavery, hierarchical corporate structures of indoctrination and enslavement, we now know what not to do.
Although it's funny, when we were coming over here in the car, we talked about how money is a bit of an oxymoron for us at the moment, because unfortunately, I said to you satirically that, if I want to fly somewhere to do a presentation as with you, I can't go to Qantas and give them a nice big hug.
No.
They need money. So we need money to do some of the great work that we're doing. Do you want to lead, I wanted to lead you into now what you're doing in South Africa, because I think it's pivotal not only for South Africa but the world. Do you want to just give everybody a bit of a...
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Well, it's been 10 years of work, maybe 11 years now, since 2005. And this is what it's come to, this moment in time, preparing for the South African municipal local elections in 2016, which we can use this occasion as the spearhead to breach the veil of global control and the elite and win the election in at least one little town or one municipality in South Africa. There'll then be the springboard and the inspiration for thousands of towns, maybe more, around the world. This is not something that's just going to affect the towns around us. It's going to affect towns and villages and thousands, if not millions of people around the world, across the Atlantic, across the Indian Ocean, and say, wow, if they can do it, we can do it. So that's what we're working towards now, and when I leave Australia now next week, I'll be putting as much effort and energy into starting the election funding campaign to raise the money. As we said, we need the money to get ourselves out of the money system. We can't get past it. To raise the funds necessary to drive this political campaign for next year.
We spoke about the fact that a lot of organisations that have identified what's going wrong with the world, and there's a lot, they resist and they set themselves up in little pockets. That's not the way forward, is it? I mean, we spoke about the fact that we need to get into the belly of the beast, and we need to affect change from within.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because it's critical for people that are out there that are still sort of maybe critical and criticize what we're doing, and I get the odd email, not many, but the odd email, and unfortunately it's those few emails of the naysayers and the critics that does upset me, because it sort of almost gets to the heart of your your authenticity, and you go, why don't they understand what we're doing, right? So it's critical to understand that we've got to use a system to beat the system, but that doesn't mean we stop doing what we're doing at the ground level. So what we're doing with the Ubuntu movement is development through community projects, building it from the ground up and from the top down, providing a political escape or a political release and a solution for the philosophy on the ground. And from going from last year's election in South Africa, the national elections, to 2016, which is the local municipal elections, taking it from the head to the heel, to our approach is the Achilles heel approach, right? Injecting the virus of consciousness into the 12 smallest towns and villages in South Africa. Why? Because we know that our message can reach 20 or 30,000 people much more efficiently than we can reach 20 million people. And by going in there and campaigning in the 12 smallest municipalities, we'll get our message across, and our objective is just to win one of these municipalities as a majority. At this stage, we know we can do it. We get the support from the people on the ground already. It is an overwhelming support. It's an emotional and a philosophical support. Now it needs to be reflected in the support on the ballot paper.
What sort of resistance do you think you're going to get if you're successful in getting in? The reason I ask is that there's a politician here in Australia, Jason Woodforth, who was voted in as a state member, and once he got in, he started to bring up issues like fluoridating the water, our education system, and so on and so forth. And he met a lot of resistance. How do you think it's going to go over there? Because it's a different political system, and it's a different political environment over there. Unemployment's at what you were telling me?
70-80% unemployment. Yeah.
70 to 80%. I actually had to ask you. I thought you said 17, which I was shocked with.
Yeah.
70 to 80%. That's here in Australia. That's hard for us to even understand.
Yeah, it is difficult. It's not easy to wrap your head around. So
there's a lot of pain there, isn't there?
There's a lot of pain.
Do you think maybe South Africa, because it's in so much pain, is ready for the change?
Absolutely, but it doesn't mean that other countries aren't ready for the pain. The pain is relevant. Everyone is living in the same misery at different stress levels. The poorest people worry about where they're going to find bread to fill their stomach with for the day. The richest people worry about how they're going to protect their millions because everybody wants to take it away from them. So everybody's got their own various stress levels, and it's all about the money. It's about not having enough money to be able to survive or to lead a beautiful life. So it is about the money. We got to remove money from our system, and those that follow the Ubuntu movement and the philosophy will understand this. It's very simple. As long as we got money or any kind of value or bartering exchange system, it is corruptible. And he who has more to barter or trade will ultimately rule the roost and will start to dominate everybody else for their own benefit. So that playing field's got to be leveled, and a moneyless society, not a cashless society, a moneyless society is the only way we can do it. It is uncorruptible. You cannot manipulate it in your own favor, because it creates a platform for communities to cooperate and to collaborate for the benefit of everyone in their communities, and not compete, which is what we discussed in the car. Is competition is probably one of the worst sugar-coated pills that humanity has been sold as a deception. And we've been told if you don't compete, competition is good. Without competition, there'd be no progress. There'd be no discovery. We'd be stuck in the dark ages. No, that's completely the opposite.
Yeah, we spoke about competition keeps people in opposition, and the best example of that is sport. You have 13 or whatever code of sport you go for, 11 people in opposing teams abiding by a set of rules, and if they do something wrong, there's a penalty. What programming is there? And of course, the TV is the masterstroke of the ruling elite.
Manipulating our minds, the way we think, programming our thoughts, programming our lifestyles, showing us what's good, what's bad, who's right, who's wrong, who's sexy, who's trendy, and
who Brad Pitt's sleeping with at the moment,
and controlling our lives, manipulating our lives into a channel that they want us to move through. So with the Ubuntu movement now, it's grown into following in about 200 countries. That doesn't mean we got a lot of funding. We got a lot of support. Now we got to turn that support into funding so we can implement this philosophy on a political front. So that's why I said this is the key moment. After 10 or 11 years of work, this is it. It's come to this moment. We are the people we've been waiting for. We are already in the new age. We are the wave of the new age. We are the people that are working in these movements, whether it's Thrive or New Earth or Zeitgeist movement or the Venus Project, the Ubuntu movement. We are all independent, individual groups that are part of the same chain, individual links on the same wave that's moving this new age into reality. So with Ubuntu movement and the Ubuntu party, we have taken on the political front of this, because none of the other movements have got a political party or political front that I'm aware of at this stage.
Yeah.
So let's use this as the spearhead to break through the veil of protection of the elite and protecting their control mechanism. And the most beautiful thing for me, Mark, is that we can do it in the smallest town. The smallest town in South Africa can be the one thing that brings down the beast.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Isn't it amazing to think of it like that?
You said to me in the car, Michael, that you find it really uncomfortable to ask for money. So I'm going to do it for you. Blair, the cameraman's got both thumbs up. So all of you Truthology and Freedom Summits members and anyone else, we have a lot of affiliated groups here in Australia. If you want to help Michael and the Ubuntu party with their plight, and we certainly will. So right here and now, Freedom Summits would like to donate $1,000 towards your plight. We're absolutely delighted to do so. I wish we could give you more. But you were saying that you need roughly 200,000 to possibly to make this work.
Yeah.
So if this is something that resonates with you, and I'm going to be confident enough to say that it must do because you're still watching, then jump onto what site, Michael?
Well, we have two sites, ubuntuplanet.org and ubuntuparty.org.za.
Yep.
And there's a donation button there, donate, go on there, and you've got various options. We'll probably add more options, and we'll also start a crowdfunding campaign.
Yep.
So we're right at the beginning of the stage, and you're one of the first people that's actually helping us get this message out there. So thank you so much for doing this.
My pleasure, mate.
As you say, I'm very uncomfortable asking for money. Because of, again, ignorant people that are not necessarily completely familiar with what we're doing, and they send me emails like, you're a fraud, Tellinger, why don't you practice what you preach, why don't you do all this for free, and lead by example. And I go, no, I don't think you understand what we're doing. We're still trapped by money, and what I keep explaining to people, we need to use money to rid ourselves of the money system. Yeah. We need to use the money to set up the structures so we don't need to use money anymore. Yeah. And that's going to be a process. It's a journey. The good news is we've started the journey already. Yeah. I'm 11 years into that journey, and now many, many people are catching on and joining this journey and joining this walk to freedom. And this is a true walk to freedom, unlike the Nelson Mandela walk to freedom.
Yes, absolutely. Look, what I can share is that through Freedom Summits and Truthology, we support an organisation called Free to Shine. And the reason we support them is they're authentic. We travel around the country doing talks, and every time Nikki from Free to Shine comes, I see her at the bus stop. She catches buses. Michael is getting lifts with people. There are no hire cars, there are no fancy hotel rooms, so anything that comes across is really going to hit the street and do some great work, isn't it?
Yeah. So, just to recap what you said, you mentioned $200,000, and for people to say, well, what's that for? Well, it literally is to keep the Ubuntu office going. We're going to have to hire people to help us in the office, answer phones, answer emails, manage the office, coordinate the campaigns. We're going after the 12 smallest municipalities, which means it's about 50 to 60 towns, which means 50 to 60 representatives in each town. We need posters printed for them. We need banners and flags and promotional material to go into each town. Yeah. Just to print the banners and flags and promotional material for each campaign is $1,000. Yeah. So there's $50,000 already for the 50 towns. And so it goes. So after the, just people to start thinking along those lines. Transport, costs, petrol, etc., etc. Before you know, $200,000 is gone. Yeah. So that's what we're looking for, and that's where the money will go, and already is going in that direction. As I'm sitting here today, when I leave here, I have to pay $12,000 towards printing the posters that go up, the lamppost posters that we put up in these towns. I have to pay that now because the guys are already ordering the material, and they're starting to print these. Yeah. So this is how it goes.
Yeah. When you guys get in.
When we get
When
in.
you get in,
Yes.
what sort of things are you going to affect? What sort of things do you want to bring in straight away?
Good. I'm really glad you brought that up because that's probably what people are thinking.
Yeah.
So the Ubuntu plan of action is really simple, and it's the simplicity that often catches people because they think, well, it can't be that. It's going to be really difficult to do this and achieve this. And my answer is no. It is so simple to achieve this, so simple to turn this thing around, to turn the competition into cooperation,
Yeah.
and turn our town into a powerful labor force that provides and creates abundance for our community instead of working for corporations and the government to keep enriching them while we're enslaving ourselves to them. So the plan of action is very simple. Win one small town. And by the way, I have this on the Ubuntu party as a bullet point plan of action. So
Okay.
people can go there and look at it. So we win one small town as an election or municipality. We appoint a mayor. In the beginning, I'd probably have to be the mayor to implement these philosophies. First thing we do, our local government election manifesto is free electricity for all.
Mm.
So we use the electricity as a platform of unification,
Connecting. Yeah.
connecting people together,
Brilliant.
so that everybody gets free electricity, uncapped electricity, that we have access to free electricity technology, devices.
Which
at
come
the-
from everybody's resources. They
Every-
shouldn't be owned by massive corporations. The
Exactly.
resources are owned by all of us. aren't
Yes. And I've been fortunate enough to meet the scientists and the inventors around the world that'll provide this technology to us. Right now, to keep it simple, we're explaining to people that we're going to use hydro turbine technology, which we have access to very advanced technology, 40 to 100 times as effective as current hydro turbine technology.
Mm.
We'll put that in the rivers. All our towns have got little rivers running through them. Energy problem solved. We simply unplug the current grid supplier and we plug ourselves in. We're not asking permission to do that because we now run the town. We're the authority of our town and the people. And if this is what the people want, this is what the people will get.
That's going to be a paradigm shift, that in itself, for
Yes.
people to realise, because I know in one of your talks you talk about the fact that we can create energy. You
Yeah.
know, the whole myth about that we can't do that is exactly that. So, you know, when we take the power away from the big oil and coal companies, that alone is, that little plop in the pond, the ripple
Yes.
effect of that's going to be enormous.
It's huge. Imagine if this happens in our little town or our 4 little towns, this ripple effect in thousands of towns around the world, it becomes unstoppable.
Yeah.
So I really believe that this is the first domino that'll fall, and I really urge people to internalize this and realize that one little municipality in little South Africa, it's not about South Africa or our immediate surroundings and the town around us. This is a global effect. It's a global time bomb that'll explode and affect millions of conscious people that were wondering how we're going to do it. Will take their lead by example from what has happened in one little town in South Africa.
Yeah. Most people don't realise that the whole oil industry is heavily subsidised. You know, well, I don't
and
know
we-
what oil
and
is.
we
I think
subsidise it.
Yeah, it was over $100 a barrel. I think it's 47 odd now. I should check those facts, but it's because it's subsidised. And the reason they're subsidising is because it's such an enormous industry, and if that collapsed,
Yeah.
who knows what would happen. So,
So-
it's great that you're going to demonstrate.
Yeah,
a
we need to
different way do
demonstrate
It's
it.
not theoretical. When you demonstrate it,
Yeah.
that's what's going to have the power.
And we also need to tell people that we got to stop the fear. The fear thing is over. It's about the people. The country belongs to its people. The towns belong to the people. The government is supposed to be the servant of the people. Well, we're going to show them how to serve the people. And the municipality should be the servant of the people. They're not serving us, so the new municipality will be serving the people. So for the first time ever, when the Ubuntu party wins, we'll start serving the people and doing what the people want. So if the people want free electricity, we'll give them free electricity. And you know, maybe in Australia it might not be so powerful to start off with, but I think it will. In Africa, when one town realizes that they've got free electricity, and the next town realizes they can also have free electricity,
It'll go like wildfire.
you're not going to be able to stop it. No government in the world is going to be able to stop that explosion.
Yeah.
And how does that then affect the step forward, the way forward? Is because we're now the government representative or the law in the town, we then do what we need to do for the people. And money gets funneled from government to the municipality to set up facilities and provide services for the community. That money is currently being stolen by our corrupt municipalities. All we need to do is allocate that money into the various community projects. We have a current list of about 24 community projects as initial Kickstarter projects for this new community or town, this united community. And the funding will then start up all these community projects, from whether it's a bakery, a dairy, a cheese factory, a fish farm, a wood factory, a metal factory.
Keeping it local, though.
Keeping it local, purifying the water, and bringing in expertise from outside. If we don't have a mushroom grower, then we bring the best mushroom grower in the world. Because I'm now the mayor, and I can call for the best mushroom grower in the world. And if I call for the best engineers to come and give us free energy devices, they will come. Because I'm not just some leftist groundswell movement. I'm now the mayor of 4 towns, and I'm calling on the people to help us. And they will come. They're already coming. They're just waiting for us to get to this point. And in return for this free electricity, everybody in the town is required to contribute 3 hours a week in one of these community projects. Each project is well managed, well coordinated. There's a plan in action that we create 3 times as much as what we need for our community, because after we've consumed 1/3 of what we need, the other 2/3 are then made available to our neighboring towns. Not for free, for a very small price, cheaper than Walmart, cheaper than any other supermarket, because we are collectively creating it virtually for free. So as a collective, powerful labor force, let's say in our town we got 5,000 people, 3 hours a week, that's 15,000 hours a week of labor.
Of contribution. I love the word contribution, because most people get up in the morning and it's about what's in it for me. What am I going to do to survive? But when you turn that around to contributing, and to contributing to the society as a whole, that's a huge shift in itself, isn't it?
So what do you get in return for contributing your 3 hours a week? It's nothing. Everyone can afford 3 hours a week. The good thing about this process is that you don't have to give up your job. You can carry on doing what you're doing while you're participating in setting up a powerful labor force and a united front in your town to create abundance. Very quickly this abundance will come. The result is that everything that we do, every community project, is then available to you for free. Bread, milk, cheese, food, meat, whatever it is free to you for giving your 3 hours a week. That's your return. So it's a one-to-many sharing, right? And it comes back many to one as well, because we're creating abundance for ourselves and in our communities. So now that you live virtually living for free, you've got free electricity, all your food and everything is for free.
As it was thousands of years ago, not the electricity, but everything was free. There was no money.
We worked together. Remember when the colonizers from Europe arrived at all these new territories that they started colonizing 500 years ago, the one common denominator they found was no money and no jails. Right? So money and jails are synonymous.
They soon fixed that.
Yeah, they fixed that very quickly. Imposed their own legal systems, introduced money, and created jails for the offenders. It's just spectacular. So we're going back to a community-driven system, and this abundance then is going to make it very difficult, in fact impossible, for any surrounding town or community to operate on a capitalist system. Because we're going to undermine their capitalist system by providing our collective services cheaper than any capitalist system can do, because we're doing it as a collaborative structure, they're doing it as a competitive structure. You can't compete.
It'd be night and day. So let's talk about the elephant in the room, the money system. Because what I bring up quite often in my talks that a lot of people find interesting is that the Great Depression was a really interesting time. It's the first time the monetary system totally collapsed, and people who in top hats were 2 weeks later lining up in soup kitchens. They had no food, but the reality was there was food. The sun kept coming up, the plants kept growing, the cows kept breeding. There was food. There was no money to buy the food. People don't get that connection. And people starve to death because of the monetary system.
And this is, this is what I take people on this journey of rediscovery in the Ubuntu workshops, to remind people that money does nothing. People do everything. We plant the food, we grow the seeds, we develop the technology, we are capable of infinite love and create beautiful works of art. Money cannot do that. Money gets in the way of people achieving all these things and achieving their life's purpose, their life's goal, from being able to express their passion. Money constantly gets in the way. It's the hurdle to progress. It is the thing in our lives that is suppressing humanity and our aspirations to be great.
So when you get in, and you demonstrate this different way to being. How long do you think it'll be before that sort of infiltrates out? You think it's going to be quite quick?
Weeks.
Wow.
Think about this. The people in our town, their cousins and brothers and mothers live in the neighbouring towns. Their friends live in the neighbouring towns. Their cousins live in Cape Town, in Pretoria. They have families in Sydney and in Mullumbimby. You know, it's a global family.
Yeah.
We have friends and relatives and people we know all over the world. So what we do in one little town, it's like it's a resonance. It goes instantly all over the planet. It'll resonate throughout the fabric of creation. It will shake through the morphogenetic field. For people that don't understand what I'm talking about, this is a whole new concept. But it'll shake into the morphogenetic field as the new anchoring of a higher consciousness in the fabric of creation.
Yeah.
This is what we're really doing here.
Yeah.
It's a huge step up into unity consciousness and reuniting ourselves with the creation, the true creation, getting closer to that source, so that once you work, and just imagine yourself in a community where you're contributing 3 hours a week, everything is available for you, and whatever community projects we have, if we need to create a new material or new components for bicycles or something, we create another community project that then makes those components. So it's an ever expanding, ever growing. The best artistic forms and expressions, the painters that paint the most beautiful paintings that are available to all the people that request specific paintings, or they beautify our towns and cities with sculptures and works of art, is all done for us. It's an explosion of artistic expression and art, poetry, music. We can't imagine that kind of interaction in our societies today.
Because we're so imprisoned,
with
mortgages and rent
money.
and credit cards and money.
It's
Yeah.
all the money.
Yeah.
So what happens when you get all this time? You contribute 3 hours a week, and all this is available to you. The rest of the week is 143 hours a week is for you to do what you love to do. So when you wake up in the morning, you wake up with a smile, because you're not worried about having to catch a bus or sit in the traffic or ride your bicycle in the freezing cold or get wet or snowed on to get to a stinking job that you hate, but you have to do it because it's the thing that brings you the money that allows you to buy the food and pay your electricity so you can survive for a month and then do it all over again.
Vicious cycle, isn't it?
That stops immediately. So when you wake up in the morning, you live in the community of your choice. You know the people in your community. You know who does what. You know that everything is available to you, and you're going to go and do what you love to do. Whether it's being an electrical engineer or a rocket scientist or a painter or grooming horses, whatever it is. Ultimately, what you do benefits your community.
Yeah.
Because they'll come to you for what it is you do as a hobby. And sooner or later, whether you're a painter or a horse breeder or a shoemaker, what you do and your love and your art form will become a community project, because it'll start benefiting the larger community.
Yeah.
And this is just something I'd like people to internalize. And this is the true expression of our God-given talents, of what we are born for, to be true creators, to be co-creators of the divine creation. Not to be slaves to a global elite that control the money system.
How many of you out there can say that you do that? You know, that you get up every morning and live your passion. I mean, you know, for years I've been saying all I want to do is pick berries and make love. And so, you know, if we can create that, then why not? You know, I said to you, we've set up a community here locally in the Byron area called Bulla Bulla, which is the Aborigine local language for together and harmony. And definitely that's our goal in the next 5 to 8 years. As you know, orchards take 7 or 8 years before they bear fruit. But
exactly.
Certainly in the next 7 or 8 years, we'd like to be around 80% self-sufficient. And I said to you, you know, if the shit hits the plan, we'd love to come out a week later and not even know it happened. And that's I think, where everyone needs to go, is to recreate the village. You know, they say it takes a village to raise a child. You know, we have 3 kids and we live in suburbia at the moment, and it's tough. You know, but when you're in a community or in a village, there's a lot of support, and that's the shift we need to come to quickly.
And I think what might happen is if when we are successful with this political application of the community developments, what will happen to a community like Bulla Bulla is it'll automatically just blossom, because it'll take the pressure and the stress off you, because right now you're still under the current constraints and the laws that control you, control your movements. They're trying to throw all kinds of things at you.
Council have already, we only settled 2 months ago, and council are there going, what are you doing with this? What are you doing with the cows? Are you doing illegal works?
Yes,
you know,
exactly.
The system is so
It's just the control, so that automatically falls away, and you don't have to worry about that. And the other fascinating thing is imagine if you've got this community suddenly working together, all this abundance, this creative explosion, the rise of consciousness, because that's what happens when you got this freedom. You're allowed to contemplate your own humanness and who you are and why you're here. So the rise of consciousness is just phenomenal at that stage. And what the other interesting thing that happens is that when people move 3 hours a week, this week you'll work in the bakery, the next week you work with a cheese master and learn how to make cheese, and then you work with a rocket scientist, and you work, for want of a better expression.
You might discover passions you never even know you had.
Exactly. But not only that, you're learning new skills all the time. So what happens is the entire education system gets replaced by a hands-on, experiential skills transfer, where you don't need to read from a book how to build a bridge. You're actually doing it. I don't need textbooks. I'll show you how to do it. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I don't need to read from a book how to bake bread or how to mix chemicals or how to do that. You're doing it hands-on.
And we sit around a fire and we exercise folklore, L-O-R-E, where the elders can share things. We can fire gaze. And so
man, you see, just talking about it gets you.
I know.
It's just, I get so excited, and I know it's infectious. I know that when people think about this, it activates your genetic memory somehow, and gets you excited and gets the creative juices flowing. So don't lose that. Keep it. Don't let the naysayers or those that are still sitting on the fence or trying to undermine this thing because they're just full of fear, because it's all about the fear. It's the people that are driven by fear will constantly undermine us, or what if this, what if that. The time to think about that is over. We are moving ahead. We are paving our own future. We are the masters and the makers of our own reality.
Absolutely, mate. One quick thing before we wind it up. I've met a few politicians, including Jason Woodford, who is a beautiful human being and has the best intentions. And my belief is that there are a lot of politicians who are just heavily indoctrinated, who when they get that little snippet of truth and that little snippet of light, may turn quite quickly.
Yeah, I think...
Because what's happening is not working.
It's not working. And just like everyone else, people that work in the banks, it's a job. They can't just give up working in the bank. Then what? Then they starve and their family's on the street. The bank repossesses their house. Same thing with politicians. They ended up in it. Many politicians get involved in politics because at the outset they want to do something good for their community, and then they get sucked into the system and they're trapped. And that's it. So I think what will start happening is just like bankers will start coming out and helping the community with accounting principles, if there even is such a thing, or project managing, or whatever it is that their role will be, using their skills
morph it into something else.
Morph it into something, using their skills to something that will benefit the community. The same with politicians, to those that are trapped, come out and support this process from the Ubuntu party or the local Bulla philosophy, to start driving that back into the communities and helping people wake up into the true potential that we are facing right here.
All right, well, the next time you're on a YouTube-a-thon, and we've all done it, we've all had YouTube-a-thons. I go on George Carlin YouTube-a-thons, and I've been on a few Michael Tellinger YouTube-a-thons. So YouTube Michael, and you'll be there at 4 a.m. Bleary-eyed the next day. So absolute pleasure to talk to you, mate. Thank you very much, and we hope to see you out again soon.
Thank you very much, and I hope to come to Freedom Summit very soon.
Maybe 2016.
Yeah.
Thank you.